And we are live on Space Nights. Dealt with a few technical issues. I was late by a couple minutes. To my surprise, Stephen did not shame me for being late. So maybe we're turning over a new leaf here in 2024. I am Austin Heff. I am controlling the Space Nights account. We got a good crowd already. Shout out to Minx, Juicer, Dana, Fallen Knight. Manny's here, is going to probably chime in. Will Dietz, Hidden Shark. We all here, and of course, Mr. Knights 247 himself, Stephen Leonard. How are you?
I'm good. I wasn't late. I joined as soon as you started the space. So I think maybe if we try to hurry that up on your end, maybe be on time next time. But I mean, took 2 weeks off and you're late for your first one back. So
The work ethic on Space Nights, I'm telling you, is through the roof.
I mean, some of us are putting out multiple articles, going on podcasts, and then others are being 2 minutes late,
Yeah. I mean, I'm just built different. You know what I mean?
Others are
Speaking,
at the gym.
yeah. I'm at least here. RBJ is hitting the workout. Hopefully, he's getting that pump in. Hopefully, he comes out of the gym, hops on his phone, and gives us some fiery takes about the new hire that we got today. But we haven't been here in a while on Space Nights. We've taken a nice little break. I did have a text message exchange with a current player. I didn't even tell Steven. Hold on. I did tell Steven this person might join tonight. I may have to slide him a text as we're going, but he's been on Space Nights in the past. He was on while he was in high school as a commit, and we were there for that journey, and we're hopefully going to be able to bring him on tonight to go through what his first season on the team was like. But
I want to point out that you did not tell me.
I told you on the phone at like 7:40 when you called me.
Nope.
Oh, I didn't mention it? Okay.
Nope.
Well, you could probably guess who I'm alluding to.
There could be like 5 different people there. We talked to all of the 2023 class.
His last name is a car brand.
Okay, now I know.
Yeah, I was texting him earlier. The last time I had texted him was in relation to that wild, crazy scenario where that guy pretended to be a UCF football player while
because he got accused of being that guy.
Yeah. His response was so funny. He told me he told people that he got the wrong light skin. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, looking forward to hopefully chatting with Troy Ford tonight. If not, then in the future. But Steven, speaking of the defensive side of the ball, we were definitely up and down this year. Statistically, and just I think as a team on the defensive side, Addison Williams' first year as defensive coordinator. We brought in Ted Roof, who was actually here at UCF for 3 weeks back in 2011.
He was here for more than 3 weeks.
It was 33 days. Yeah. Yeah. O'Leary at the time was excited to have him. I think they worked together at Georgia Tech before that.
That is correct. I think George O'Leary also might have coached him at Georgia Tech at some point.
Wow. So it's kind of like the first ever connection between George O'Leary and Malzahn's staff, you would say?
No, Sean Beckton Jr. is on the staff. So
okay, but in terms of like a leadership, like as like a coordinator, obviously the first coordinator that
like position coach, like on field, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool kind of roundabout circle for UCF fans that O'Leary and Malzahn have this connection with Ted Roof, who's now in house for UCF.
Malzahn had worked with him before at Auburn. Malzahn was offense coordinator, obviously. Ted Roof was defense coordinator for 3 years on the national champion team. They obviously worked together in 2009 and then 2011, right before Ted Roof came to UCF for those 33 days. So they have some familiarity with each other.
Now, there's been some discussion of certain other roles changing, but to you, right? You wrote an article about this. Why do you think this move was made, and what do you think it brings to UCF?
Well, I mean, it's no secret that UCF struggled with the defensive side of the football last year, specifically rush defense. Addison did a great job with the pass defense. I think UCF was top 25 as a pass defense, but they just could not stop the run. And Ted Roof brings a wealth of experience at rush defense. So I think melding those two together and retaining Addison while bringing him in is very important. Just
Mhm.
being such a good mind and like a mentor to Addison, I also feel could help his coaching future, whether it be at UCF or somewhere else in the future.
Now, we definitely need to get our defense ready for when Tara, who's listening right now, her best friend, Coach Prime, and the Colorado Buffaloes come to Orlando next year, but they're
I mean,
obviously more of a passing attack.
Tara's favorite university, UW, obviously losing a few players. That's another thing. Ted Roof coached Ethan Barr at Vanderbilt. So he committed to Washington, enrolled there, and then his coach left, obviously, so he transferred back out. And UCF finished second for him in December, but looks like they're going to get him now.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely things to look forward to. Are there going to be any kind of repositionings of other people on staff with him coming in?
So with retaining Addison and bringing in a new DC, they have to. Well, I mean, right now they're at 10. They're gonna have to bring in a wide receivers coach because Grant Hurd and the team mutually parted ways. Someone is going to have to move either to an off-field role or part ways with the team. Just someone has to. So I don't know that who that would be at this moment, but
What do you mean have to? Can you kind of explain why there's like a mandatory?
well,
There's going to be
you can only have 10.
wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so there's a cap on how many. You said
position
position
coaches.
coaches?
Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
that's why
That's
Florida has a
interesting.
staff of like 60, but it's 10 position coaches and then a bunch of analysts or assistants or whatever.
Well, that's something I guess to watch. Speaking of watching, I'm watching UCF versus Texas, and we're already down 14-2. Not exactly the best start I've ever seen.
You know,
And
I might be glad that I can't watch this game.
yeah, some folks have already said that in response to me on Twitter when I tried to help with sending the link out publicly that I was able to get working on my computer. Uh, yeah, so so we got Ted Roof. Now he obviously has a lot of connections to a lot of schools and a lot of possible players. Do you think that played a factor in terms of like obviously in the transfer portal era, coming from a school like Oklahoma?
I mean, obviously you have connections, but I feel like every coach nowadays has connections to players. Like you saw Cam Martin came in with connections to Stacey Gage, Frankie Arthur, and he was at Incarnate Word and then Texas State for like 3 months. So I mean, you can develop connections. It doesn't really matter where you are, I don't think. But having coached at Oklahoma for 2 straight years, I think it does help in terms of, say, Lewis Carter decides to hit the portal. He's worked with Ted Roof at Oklahoma. He was recruited by Ted Roof at Oklahoma. I think he would be more comfortable keeping that connection. But That's not to say he is going to enter the portal. That's just a player that came to mind.
Someone to watch, obviously, as we move through the off season. Speaking of the off season, it's been definitely a kind of a crazy one around the country. Michigan wins a national championship, and their coach.
We haven't had a single Space Night since Nick Saban retired.
Yeah, the Nick Saban is officially over party is here tonight. This is tonight's Nick Saban is over party. But I kind of want to get topical on that. Obviously he retired. Harbaugh might leave for the NFL. He interviewed with the Falcons as the Falcons keep reporting and going viral with their tweets, which has been pretty funny to see.
I just want to point out, every team tweets out when they interview a head coaching candidate. That's a league requirement.
Oh,
it's like a recent one. Like the Chargers tweeted out a bunch too.
Okay.
The only team that didn't tweet anything out this year was the Patriots, just because they had already set in place Gerard Mayo.
And was he? Forgive me for not knowing Gerard. Was he already working for the Patriots? Is that why they didn't have to tweet any interviews?
Yeah. So he was their linebacker coach or defensive coordinator. I think he might have been both. And it was in his contract that he would be next in line. And if they chose not to hire him, then they would have had to go through the entire process. But they kind of just streamlined it so they didn't have to interview like 18 people.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a very arduous process, time consuming, and good on the Patriots for having a plan in place. But I wanted to bring up that topic because, Nick Saban retiring, there's the domino effect of the 30-day window. Every time a coach leaves, there's a 30-day open season for all the players on the roster, basically. Now, do they become able to be talked to, or they have to actually hit the portal before?
You have to be in the portal.
Okay,
I mean, so obviously there's back dealing, but you have to by the books. You have to be in the portal.
So
Washington, Arizona, San Jose State, South Alabama, Buffalo, Alabama, I think, are the current schools.
That are in the 30-day window right now?
Yeah, because the South Alabama and Buffalo coaches left to go on staff at Alabama, which is a fun thing in college football now. Like, head coaches are just leaving to go be assistants. The New Mexico State coach resigned his position and is now an assistant at Vanderbilt. That's a new fun wrinkle that we're seeing at the Group of 5 level.
Do you know why coaches are doing that?
Well, it's more realistic to get a head coaching job at the Power 5 level if you're a Power 5 position coach or coordinator.
Right.
I think that's why we saw Willie Simmons leave FAMU to go be a running back coach at Duke.
Because everyone wants you to have Power 5 experience, and you can't get Power 5 experience if you're running a G5 program.
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but that is kind of how it is nowadays. I think Willie Fritz was the only. Oh, Brent Brennan as well, the new Arizona head coach. Guys that got hired from the G5 to P5.
And I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how Willie Fritz does at Houston. Obviously, you want to make sure we beat them every time, but
yeah, same with Brent Brennan. I personally think he's a really good coach. I know his record doesn't show it, but he definitely built a San Jose State team that didn't really care about football. Support from their administration. So another really good coach in the Big 12.
Jed Fish said that Arizona didn't get, or it seemed like it was like through, in between the lines, it felt like Jed Fish made statements about how Arizona doesn't care about football.
I mean, I don't think he's very much wrong. I think as far as the fans, they definitely care about football, but they did not make his contract extension a priority, which is kind of what made his buyout as low as it was.
The Sidelines Arizona account said that wasn't true. That statement of Arizona claiming that we're not focused on his extension
They could have called
was
an
false
emergency meeting. They chose not to.
when he got the offer from Washington.
No, like when the extension, because okay, so the Board of Regents in Arizona has to approve of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So like they could have called an emergency meeting if it was like that important. They didn't think his contract extension was that important.
Huh.
So they were just going to wait until I think they have a Board of Regents meeting next week. So instead
Mm-hmm.
of getting X amount in the buyout, they got less.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know Brennan, his buyout got announced today. It's $10 million if a team wanted to buy him out. So like even that, I think Washington could have paid, but you get more money.
Yeah, Washington probably would have for whatever reason they have super deep pockets. It seems.
I mean,
But
it's a good school.
yeah, and now they're in the Big Ten. The reason why I brought this up is because I saw a tweet that really was interesting to me. That somebody said this is not fair to Alabama. That basically their entire roster is open season and they can't really backfill those players because basically all the portal season, most of it, all the players kind of already went to where they're going to go. So there's really no market for them to go tap into if any of their players get pawned off and leave because Saban retired. And I was like, really? This has been happening for a while now, and all of a sudden, now that Bama's going through it, now it's unfair. Like, what? Do you think that this system is good? Like,
I
what are your
don't
thoughts on the system?
disagree. I think it
Why?
is a little weird that Bama players get to be open season when other teams aren't, but I don't think there's a better way to handle it. So I think this is the system that you kind of have to have unless you want free agency. So
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, if a coach is able to walk around, then the players who usually, right, everyone's like, oh, you should commit to the logo, but in it's humanity. People commit to people. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. Look what happened when Gus came to UCF. We benefited. We got Kobe, Lee Hunter, and some others, and then obviously that led to Javon. But when you really think about it, I mean, like you said, this has to be the best system. There really is no better way to handle this. So I was confused. This is a guy who runs on three. Can't remember his name, or he runs some does some podcasting for them or whatever, and he said this needs to be fixed. And I'm cool with trying to fix things. I love fixing things, but like you need to present a solution when you're announcing that it needs to be fixed. And I'd love to hear something, but I think this has to be the best. If a coach leaves, those players should be allowed to also leave, right?
yeah, I mean, again, I just don't know how you would go about fixing that. Like players are going to want to leave if the coach that recruited them isn't there, which I mean they can go grab South Alabama players and Buffalo players and Washington players cuz they've now
Exactly.
caused issues that they can grab Arizona players cuz they've caused a domino effect there.
Right. They just got Washington's coach, so
Yeah,
they're
it's
about to
not like
benefit.
it's not like they're the only school that's open right now, but I definitely see what the issue is. I just don't see a way you could realistically fix the issue.
Now, on the recruiting, on team building aspect, everyone's always known Gus to be a great recruiter, a great roster builder. He's had some great rosters in his coaching career, and he's already on a good track with UCF. From what I saw, we're the number 2 Big 12 recruiting class for 2024 and the number 2 portal ranked class in the Big 12. We haven't been on here in a while. We've had some big commitments overall, though. Stephen, how do you think UCF is looking in terms of roster construction going into 2024? You think they filled some needs well? Do you think they got stronger at certain positions? What are your thoughts?
First off, over here at Nights 24/7, we use the 247 rankings. So UCF is 3rd in high school and 4th in transfer
Ah,
for
boo.
recruiting, but that's just me personally. I mean, they're really close behind Arizona State and TCU, and I think they could pass them with a couple more. But I think they added good pieces in areas of need. I think that's the most important thing. I
Mm-hmm.
still think they're an offensive lineman short,
Mm.
but for where they are right now, I think they definitely elevated from a team that could have been upper middle of the pack if things went right to looking like they should be upper middle of the pack, like if they play to expectation.
Mm.
Because I think they played a little above expectation last year, but they just got unlucky in certain aspects. I think now the expectation needs to be 8-4.
And wow, and that's good to know. So 8-4. You had us. I'm trying to remember what you said. I said
I
seven and
said
five.
that I said we were going to get to 7-5 last year. I did not anticipate as many injuries as they had, but if I knew that JRP was going to miss like 4 games, I would have probably been 6-6, 5-7.
Yeah, 6-7. I mean, Gus's first ever season as a head coach officially that ended with a losing record, but this is also the first time he was a head coach of a team that jumped conferences or jumped freaking division, like basically categories of football. He's never coached a team that went from G5 to Power 5 ever. So that's new territory for him, and I think he handled it pretty well compared to his peers. I mean, Houston, BYU, since he did not do as good as us. I mean, even head to head, you can even track that. But just objectively speaking, we were the best of the new bunch. So that's why we should definitely be hopeful. We're doing the right things. We were in pretty much all of the games to me, except the Kansas game. I think the Kansas game was really the only game that I felt like we were never in at any point. But you look at some of the results, like the West Virginia game. We were in that game. We were in that game up until in the fourth. We let it slip in the fourth, but we were in it. So it's not like we didn't belong in any stretch. Obviously, we went to Oklahoma and almost shocked the world. So, yeah, I mean, I think going into next year, there's obviously a lot to look forward to, especially at the quarterback position, Stephen. We haven't done one of these since we got KJ Jefferson out of the portal. Someone who I wish I subbed to you. Maybe I should sub to your site, but I'm assuming you wrote an article on the KJ transfer. What does he bring to the table that maybe fans don't know yet, or with the weapons around him that maybe could be different than what KJ's been used to in his career at Arkansas?
I mean, he obviously adds the perfect style for Gus's offense. I know we were deep in conversations for Grayson McCall. He came to campus. At one point, it looked like UCF had momentum for him. But I think missing out on him ended up being a blessing in disguise because you get a better fit for the offense. He's obviously huge. I think 6'5", 240, if I'm not mistaken. He is the closest thing to Cam Newton that probably has ever existed, to be honest. But
Steven, why does someone have to be that big and kind of strong and buff? Why does that give someone like KJ an advantage in our offense over any other body frame or athlete type?
well, because quarterbacks take hits.
Yep.
In this offense, I think the stat that Darren Hinshaw was referencing every interview he could ahead of this year was 192, which was the amount of hits JRP took in 2022. That's not realistic for a guy that's 200 pounds to take. Honestly, it's probably not even realistic for a guy that like KJ to take, but he could take all those. There's a play against Western Carolina where he just has a linebacker come and smack him in the face. Zero effect. Just bounces right off of him and threw like a 30-yard pass. He flipped a Alabama DB off of him after he was getting dragged down, and then threw like a 20-yard pass. He's just that guy, I guess. And he played in behind maybe the worst Power 5 offensive line last year. And I mean, the stats don't like reflect a great performance, but he was doing some stuff that like should not be able to do.
Hey, can I chime in on that real quick, Steven?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, man. So, the thing with that he said about the offense, like I told you before, my name is Coach Luvia, by the way. I coach at a head coach at a community college, junior college here in Lafayette, Louisiana. But I'm a big fan of KJ Jefferson.
Hey, Coach Lou, thanks for joining us tonight, brother.
Thank you, man. I guess you could say I'm a secret UCF fan, secret Gus Malzahn fan. I'm a big offensive guy. See, the thing with KJ is with UCF, there's a lot of very similar to Cam Newton at Carolina. There's a lot of quarterback design runs, right? So there's a lot of quarterback powers. There's a lot of quarterback counters, a lot of GT counters, and things of that nature with the quarterback. And with KJ's size, being able to with KJ's size, utilizing him in those situations, it presents the defense with a pretty big conundrum, right? Like Steven said, what is he? What, 240, right? Or he's damn near 250. Like there's not a lot of linebackers, especially Big 12, or really anywhere, honestly, that can take him one on one, right? Even at that size, he is pretty, fleet of foot. He's not a slow guy by any stretch of the imagination, So any realistically, of course, you guys, have a great running back there as well. But any first and short situations, any second or really any short situations, 2nd and 3 yards, 2 or 3 yard situations, he's a go, right? Like it's damn near automatic, right? And that opens up a lot of the offense. He's not a horrible passer. Like he said, the stats may not reflect it. Yeah, that offensive line was not good at all, right? But he's an excellent passer as well. It just opens so much up for you guys' offense, on the ground game. I was able to pitch a couple of games, UCF games, and I go back and watch a lot of film and games on UCF, because like I said, I'm kind of like a secret fan. So Plumlee, JRP, obviously isn't that same size, and of course, taking those hits leads to injuries, but at Jefferson's size, he's able to tough that out and get through that throughout the length of the season. So that's definitely a huge get for you guys, for that one season that he's going to be there. So definitely excited to see him get started there with that.
And you're right about it's something I don't even think about, right? Because I watched Cam when he was in college. That was probably you're a kid, and you're able to watch more sports than you are as an adult, I think. And so I got to watch him a lot. And yeah, at Auburn they ran a ton of QB draws, QB powers, where they utilized Cam's frame. And JRP definitely had the speed to do a lot of the RPO stuff, for the faking it to the hand, the running back, or just keeping it. I meant instead of giving it to the running back and able to get the first down himself. But I think a designed QB run, I don't know if how many we've ran with JRP. Steven, obviously you could speak on that more than I can, but yeah, that's a huge, huge asset that we'll be able to have. I think that just opens up the passing game way more, because what are you going to focus on? The receivers? Are you going to focus on the fact that our quarterback can beat you by himself? So,
and it definitely helps out. Is it RJ, right? Is the back that you guys have coming back,
yep.
Harvey, if I'm not mistaken? So
Yeah,
like
Harvey.
it helps out him a lot more as well, because like I have a clip right now on my phone of a GT counter in a red zone that I'm actually going to be installing myself with JRP. The thing is, they use that a lot more, near the red zone, and they did it out of empty. They need a space to do it. With KJ, there is no need for space. Like, you guys can do that at literally any point of the field. And again, I know a lot of people hate the Cam Newton comparisons, but I mean, there's literally nobody else that size, right? So Cam Newton at Carolina, more so than in college, they were able to, be realistic and be honest and say, hey, we want to be able to utilize this guy's strength, and those are, him on the ground, not taking away from him as a passer. And there was pretty much any running scheme that you would do with a running back, they did with Cam Newton, and it's going to be the same with KJ. You can run trap with KJ. You can run trap with KJ. You can run anything to the outside. You can get him to the perimeter. Again, he's really fast. You can pull guards and tackles with KJ. You can get him into space. There's no linebacker. There's no cornerback that's tackling him. I can tell you that right now. Like, there's no cornerback that's gonna even want to tackle him. So like, there's so many things you can do with the run game, and what that does is that's gonna alleviate a little bit from RJ. I haven't watched a whole bunch of RJ, but when I saw him, he's explosive, man. He's a guy. He's a dude. He's an NFL guy. So that obviously helps for him with his mileage on his legs and his knees as well. And plus it helps out vice versa as far as that rushing game goes. It's a pretty good 1-2 punch right there.
That's really cool, Coach Lou. Thank you for adding a lot of that context. I think that Gus is very calculated. I like. It's cool that you study him and you like watching his play sets and the play calls that he has, or the plays that he draws up. Because I mean, like, I feel like there's probably coaches out there. I obviously can't like name them or know particularly, but coaches out there, hey, we just got to go get the best player available at each position. But I think Gus is really good at being like, hey, let's get the best fit. Let's go get somebody who I can, just throw into our scheme and into our entire setup that can take it and escalate it, based on their talent, skill set, and what they bring to the table. So, and for historical context, Dante Culpepper attended UCF, and when you're comparing, and I'm going to get shamed for that. I mean, there's a lot of UCF fans that they consider him the best quarterback in school history. There's a big debate: is it Mackenzie Milton? Is it Blake Bortles? Is it Dante Culpepper? But Dante Culpepper, similar frame, similar height, similar throwing strength. Dante was pretty fast himself too, and obviously big frame, big guy. So, this is a really cool kind of full circle for historical UCF fans that got to see Dante. They get to see someone like as big as K. This dude's huge. Step in and take snaps and play quarterback for UCF. So that's going to be fun to look forward to. Sam, you're here tonight. How are you?
Doing good. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good. I was skeptical of UCF men's basketball, but Sellers has been knocking down some shots. We're actually keeping it competitive.
Yeah, I last checked the score was 17-25. Did that change at all?
The game's back. Oh, of course, Ethiel Horton's balling out. Is this like a revenge game? Like, what did we do to him? I felt like we treated him well. Like, why is he doing this to us? Yeah, he's going off against us. Yeah, last I checked, it was like a 10-point game. But yeah, they're showing Horton highlights. He's definitely cooking tonight. He's a scorer though, so it's kind of we're down 8, 34-26.
That could be definitely way worse. That's actually pretty.
It was worse when the game started. It was 14-2.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've got the game, the score up here on my window, but I'm not watching it because I'm like, it's like I know what's gonna happen. I just don't want to set myself up for heartbreak. The Kansas game, I was watching it at home. My friends were like, "You're not going to the Kansas game," and I'm like, "It's like I want to because we could probably do the funniest thing ever, but there is no way we're gonna do it."
It felt bleak, right, because of how we played at Kansas State. I think that's a big reason why the energy was just so freaking electric. Because, like you said, there was very little excitement in terms of how we played in the first Big 12 game ever. It's like, this is how it's going to be. We're scared. It was like a lot of fear,
I mean,
I think.
when you look back, I mean, at the Oklahoma State game, the energy there leading up to that, we had Cincinnati, and then I think we had West Virginia the week prior. We all of Twitter on UCF sides was just like, nah, this ain't gonna happen. We're just going in there just to see what's gonna happen. But hey, well, haha, storm the field if we win. Haha, funny joke, right? And it did happen, and that energy was probably caused it to be probably one of the greatest UCF home games I've ever been to. Well, next to the college game they won. Nothing can top that ever.
I don't know. I think RBJ, I mean, it could be recency bias. I unfortunately couldn't make it to the game day game. I was at a freaking bachelor party for one of my best friends.
It was 100% the Kansas game. The Kansas game was better.
No, we're talking about football.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about moments. Sorry, I was on a phone call for a second and I popped right back.
Yeah, we were talking about how we went as fans, how we went into the Kansas basketball game. Sam made a good point that it was similar to how we went to the Oklahoma State game with like kind of bleak, lack of hope, fear. Honestly, just like we're here to support, but we're kind of scared, because of how we had been playing right before that.
Didn't we win the game before the Oklahoma State game?
The Cincy game, right?
Yeah, we were off of our first Big 12 win.
We did,
True.
We did, but that game
was ugly.
Was ugly, and we got our ass handed to us by West Virginia.
Good teams win ugly games.
Good point. No, good point.
Shout out K-State basketball. I went on a podcast. Shout out Life of Fitz too. Tim Fitzgerald for having me on after last summer's debacle with me on that show. But 247 has a new Big 12 podcast, and they had me on today. And we were talking about the K-State Baylor game yesterday. That was super ugly.
But see that I think what Sam was trying to get at. It's acceptable to win an ugly game when Baylor was number 9 when they beat them, and K-State was unranked. I mean, it's definitely acceptable to win an ugly game if it's against a highly ranked team. It's definitely less acceptable to win an ugly game against a team that's far from ranked, like Cincy was this past year.
Especially how Cincinnati ended up like the season. They didn't even make a bowl game.
Right. Shatterfield in shambles. Is it Hatterfield?
I believe it's Satterfield.
Yeah, something. Chili Chomper head coach. Yeah, when I play NCAA 24, that's what I'm going to rename their coach when I go do my dynasty mode.
UCF's going to take the natty within the first 12 hours of that game being out.
All the screenshots on Twitter are going to be fun. There's going to be a bunch. It's going to be a race who can get the first picture up on their Twitter that they won a natty in the game. I'm fortunate.
I'm winning that natty at July 12th, 1:30 a.m.
I've been playing on my phone. I don't know if y'all have heard Retro Bowl College.
Oh yeah.
I love that game. That game kills so much time. I've won about 5 natties with UCF.
Okay, do you know how many airplanes I've been on in the last year and a half? I think I might be on year like 70. Because I just keep going, and I'm changing teams. I went to Alabama. I went to Georgia. I won 5 straight natties at UCF. Left. to go coach in the FCS.
Yeah, I started with Wyoming, then went to TCU, and then went to UCF. Went 2-10 on my first year at UCF. Lost to South Florida. I was about to post this on the screen on Twitter. I was like, if this was real, the agenda would be asking for my head on the silver platter by now. But then I went to about 2 undefeated seasons in a row and a few natties, and then I went to coach at Tennessee.
Wow. Ditching UCF. No one's loyal.
Wait, who are you, Josh Heupel?
Yeah, right. You pull a Josh Heupel. Currently, Texas is at the line. According to my stream, it's 40-32. They have 1 free throw left to hit, and they made both. So we're down 9 with 1:08 in the first half. I mean, so far it's a good half, and Shamari's actually cooking pretty nicely. Dishing out assists, getting to the rack. Obviously very, very big supporter of what we do here on Space Nights. So always going to be rooting for him.
I'm a major fan of Shamari at the 3, even though they like moved Jalen out for back soreness of the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Like
I just like him on the court.
I like Chi Avery being the 2, even though Shamari is the smaller of the players.
Horton just hit a catch and shoot 3. Shamari got hit on his 3-point shot. They didn't call it. It was pretty clear he got hit. And he usually doesn't ask for calls, but he was just like, seriously, like. And then, of course, on the other end, they get the fast break and Horton hits a 3. We're down 12 now. I just love Shamari for his leadership on the court. It's pretty obvious what he brings there, but his defense, man, geez, what he did to Kansas should be studied. Especially towards the end. After the game, I went up to him like, dude, you blocked a 3-point shot. Who blocks 3-point shots? Like, that's so rare, especially a top 3
2 3-point shot blocks in that game.
That's insane. That must hurt as a shooter. I mean, you can't even get your shot off. Not only can you get your shot off, you're getting swatted. Like, he was everywhere that game, especially towards the end, and that during that comeback, he willed us, and I mean everybody did. DJ was knocking down tons of shots. I love when he gets going from 3. And obviously Sellers too. So yeah, we're gonna need them in the second half. We're down 12 officially at halftime. Horton. Yeah, he really cooked us in the first half. His teammates are swamping him.
It's his first start as a Longhorn.
Probably been maybe they calculated this. I
think it's related to playing against Johnny Dawkins specifically,
right?
Because he knows it's like a hard defensive scheme to like understand. He knows it. So,
yeah. I mean, if you're Johnny though, and you know someone on the other team knows your scheme, shouldn't you be like shading him more? I mean, it's hard when he's hitting every shot.
Well, I mean, he's not their most talented player though. So like you shade him, and then you're leaving like the guys that normally dominate for them wide open.
But this is fun to actually say and have merit to it, behind it, facts backing it up. But we are a second half team. That's been proven in this season. Even in the BYU game, I think we had a really good second half. We usually start slow, as proven in this game, 14-2, and to start the game, and kept it within single digits for pretty much the entire half, and then at the end gave up that 3. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we fight in the second half. I'm sure Johnny's going to give a really good halftime speech. But yeah, Steven, you were at that Kansas game, right? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Barstool posted my video.
That's right. They stole your content. Hey, that's what they do.
Actually, they did not steal my content. I got the views for it. So
yeah, I was
embedded the video.
Yep. And so they traffic all the views that they get onto you, right?
Yeah. So
every view they get also gets attributed to your account as well.
I think that video has like over 1 million impressions now.
Wow. Yeah. So it's actually thank you, Barstool, for helping my boy out.
Yeah, it's funny how like 1/3 of us is like a Barstool affiliate, and the first one that got posted to Barstool Sports was not that one.
Yeah. RBJ needs to get back in the gym.
Up for real.
He needs to rework his strategy. Not that he's trying to get reposted by them or anything, but that's pretty funny that you were the one. But yeah, I mean, you sat in the media section. Were you there with Kansas media members? Like, talk us through your perspective.
So there was, but they are kind of on the other side. I'm on. It's typically me, Trace Troco, Andrew Chirico or Chirico. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. And then
Andrew.
Sometimes Chris Boyle is with me. And then there was a couple new faces, but they weren't really Kansas guys. They were, I mean, at least they were cheering for UCF, so I hope they weren't Kansas guys.
Wait, you said in the media section you can't really be cheering for a team.
I mean, it was the Kansas game. I'm going to be honest, I was cheering a little bit.
That's rare. That's literally not even rare. I've literally never heard you admit that you cheered for UCF while doing your job.
I generally do. I have a question about like I know you can't like cheer, but yeah, is it like common? Like let's say it's like the Oklahoma State game or like a big game. Like I'm pretty sure some people have it hard to like control their emotions or excitement, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a blowout, I don't really think they care that much. But if it's a close, like football game specifically, I think basketball is more relaxed too. Like with just the setting, like the we're like right next to the student section. It's not really like that divided. But with football, it's like just inside a room, so it's kind of harder to hide cheering. So I think that's another thing. I just don't be. I don't know. I be following the rules.
You just admitted that you loosely followed them against Kansas, but
I did not follow them against Kansas. I also did not follow them for the women's basketball opener. So sue me.
Man. So yeah, I mean, personally, the block party was really fun. First of all,
Yeah. Oh, I did not go. I did go to the Hula Bowl though.
Oh, I couldn't make it this past weekend. I was.
Oh yeah, you were dealing with the sickness.
Influenza A, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm still on the recovery of. My throat still hurts, sadly.
My car got yeeted, so could not make it to that.
I thought I was gonna go work it, but I ended up going as a fan. Shout out Sidelines for hooking it up last minute.
Yeah, I felt bad. He gave me tickets like right when he opened up his giveaway, and obviously the intent.
Don't feel bad, man. There was like maybe 10,000 people there.
That's still pretty solid for an all-star game. Where it's.
I mean, there's like 105 people on the that are playing, so you got to figure they got family.
Right. Yeah, it must have been chaos with all the events happening that day with women's basketball, men's basketball, Hula Bowl.
Yes, the women's basketball game and the Hula Bowl overlapped.
At the same time. Yep.
It ended during the Hula Bowl because I was like watching it on my phone, and then I left the Hula Bowl and went to Gringo's with my girlfriend and her brother, and then went home and watched the game, like the men's basketball game.
That's cool. But yeah, in terms of the Kansas game, I mean, it was pretty electric. It was definitely awkward when, we won the game and Bianca and I are trying to find the best, most savvy way to get on the court. It was honestly pretty nice to have my wife kind of be the one like, hey, let's go. I'm like, hell yeah. That was a treat for me personally. But it's just awkward because like we're trying to find different sections because there's only certain ways you can get, down onto the court within our arena. Like only certain sections have that opening. So we're like leaving, getting onto the concourse, heading back in, and the Kansas fans are coming out, and you're like walking past them like, hi, bye. This is awkward. Thanks for coming. And yeah, but definitely very memorable.
Shout out the social media team with that L-shaped birds lining up in the shape of an L and saying thank you for visiting. That was hilarious.
Yeah, no, they're always on point. They've been a kind of ahead of the curve because a lot of teams, social media accounts, colleges are getting more kind of memey and more honestly a little bit aggressive with their demeanor. I think we've been kind of on the cutting edge with that for years, with how we approach social media and to get the fan base, the morale up and whatnot. It definitely helps to have a funny post come across.
Shout out to the tornado that totally blew down all those palm fronds.
Yeah, because that's totally how it happened.
Yeah, the tornado did that, and the students were just so determined because of the tornado.
Yeah, that's totally exactly what happened. They definitely did not get handed out by athletic staff before the game.
Shh. The tornado.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a tornado, so it's.
There was a tornado. So I think that's the story we'll go when years from now they're like, how did this tradition start?
Tornado, Central Florida, 2024. It was crazy.
Speaking of Jimmy Skyle posting that,
my Wednesday class last week got canceled because my professor's car got hit with like debris. So,
sheesh.
Maybe it was a pond frond. I don't know.
Damn. That's yeah. So that tornado obviously had actual effects on people's lives. Hopefully,
I mean, he's okay. So
that's good.
Class today. Last semester kicking off great.
So we're coming close on the hour, but tonight was fun. We got to cover Ted Roof. Welcome to UCF. I know, Steven, you mentioned it's hard to get coordinators on space nights, but maybe that could be a cool. I don't know. It's off season.
60 years old.
Hey, we know Coach Hinshaw.
Okay, we know Coach Hinshaw is not 60 years old.
That's true. We know he posts on his own socials. He posted a selfie with his dad.
Coach Hinshaw was also in elementary school when
Ted Roof was playing.
Ted Roof was at Georgia Tech. So
yeah,
which is crazy because last year we thought Coach Hinshaw was the old guy as the coordinator, but this year he's the young spry coordinator. young and hip whippersnapper out here.
He is pretty hip. Let's keep it real, Coach Hinshaw.
He is. I saw how he recruited Day Farmer. He's young at heart.
Yeah, we got a good staff. So we talked about Ted Roof. We talked about bringing in transfer portal and recruiting class, how we ranked.
Ethan Barr.
We did mention Ethan Barr from Vanderbilt. Welcome to UCF.
From Washington.
Yeah. From Washington. Played at Vanderbilt.
Counts as a Washington transfer.
Counts as a Washington transfer. Thanks for correcting me or adding to what I said. We also talked about one of the newer topics, at least, that people have been circulating about the transfer portals and how it's open season when a coach leaves. Thought that was fun. We talked about KJ Jefferson and how he's going to be added into UCF. Coach Lou, thank you for adding a bunch of complex context around exactly why he's a great fit for Gus and his offense based on your studies. Talked about UCF versus Texas men's basketball. Sam, thank you for being here tonight, man. Keep cooking people on this app. And tonight was fun.
Sam, can I get a personal whiteboard video?
I think Space Nights deserves its own whiteboard video.
I really want one.
I got into the office the other day, and my new boss is like, "Oh, that's a nice whiteboard," and I'm like, "You are not taking that whiteboard. This is my whiteboard. This is my whiteboard."
Controversial stuff on the timeline just to get my own whiteboard video.
Thankfully, no one has done some controversial stuff for deserving of a whiteboard
now.
Well, unfortunately, I'll be working from home for the foreseeable future until
there are some tunnels in New York City that I could tweet about in a way.
Oh my god!
In a way that would make me get on there is all I'm saying. I'll do it.
Funny.
Well, until forever, we'll never get our whiteboard video, our personal Space Nights homage whiteboard video that we've been asking for.
I'll see if I can cook something up.
No pressure, obviously, but that's your ticket to be allowed to come back on.
You heard it here first. I'm not coming back on until that whiteboard video is out.
Fucking for sure.
Yeah, no, that's how we run around here. You got to earn your stripes. No, I'm kidding. Steven never earned his stripes. Look at him. He's just been here. He just showed up one day and we just let him in.
Me to come on.
I mean, you were the emoji guy back then. I know you hate that, but
all right, I gotta go.
Everyone knows you as the Well, this is fun. We'll be back next week. But until then, let's go Knights. Hopefully, we get a dub tonight against Texas. Pull off this comeback.
Charge on.
Charge on.
Go Wave.